now let's go to the next level. Not only is it possible that you can live your dream, is it necessary that you call forth your team and surround yourself with people that you can learn from and grow from, that you must work on yourself and monitor yourself and train yourself, that you've got to begin to take total responsibility for the outcomes that you want to produce in your life. But let us say together with power and conviction, it's hard. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, living a dream, changing your life, is hard. It's hard when you lose all your money, when you've given it the best that you have, when you have some major setback. It's hard. When a doctor looked at me and said the three horrible words no one wants to hear, you have cancer. It was hard to mobilize my mind and spirit, to listen to tapes and music and read scripture and be around other people and seeking out other prostate cancer conquerors to believe that I could do this. It was hard. Never forget, my son said, "Daddy, are you going to die?" "Why are you asking me that?" "You're not going out much. You're not the bubbly personality that I know you to be. You're not talking much. You're spending a lot of time in the room by yourself, Dad. Are you going to surrender? Are you giving up? Are you going to let that doctor's opinion become your reality? Will my daddy see me graduate?" Yes, son, yes. I'm going to fight. No, I don't think it's my time yet. I'm going to see you graduate, but more than that, I've got some other things that I'm going to do with my life. And I thank you for asking me that. But I must tell you that I'm scared. I'm scared. And I've never been in this situation before. It's been easy for me to talk to people and encourage people when they've had challenges in their lives. But it's me. And I don't feel less than a man in admitting this to you. Yes, I'm scared. And I need some help. Repeat after me, please. Ask for help. Not because you're weak, but because you want to remain strong. And ask for help. And don't stop until you get it. Yes, see, life is hard, and there are some moments in life when you're going to need some help. You're going to need somebody to speak to you. You're going to need somebody to say something to you. I have a friend of mine, Willie Jolly, who's a motivational speaker. He said, a setback is a setup for a comeback. I had to listen to Willie's tapes. I have another friend, Kevin Brace, who's a speaker. He said, Les, come on, man, you can do this. You can make this happen. You can hit a home run. It's a done deal. You are Les Brown. That cancer's got to get out of your body. I said, talk to me, Kevin. Talk to me. That's what I need to hear. I needed to hear those words. I don't care who you are. Many people won't allow themselves to ask for help because of pride. Pride cometh before a fall. Because of ego. Ego means edging God out. No, ask for help. Not because you're weak, but because you want to remain strong. And ask for help and don't stop until you get it. I'm here because a lot of people helped me. I'm here because a lot of people believed in me at a time when I was struggling to believe in myself. The other thing is, let us say together, it's worth it. Yeah, see, I think, and write this down, you got to find 5 reasons that will make it worth it for you. 5 reasons. What will make it worth it for you? Mine was, I want to take care of my mother. Mine was, I want to do something with my life. What will make it worth it for you? Mine is, I want to leave a legacy. Mine is, I refuse to die an unlived life. What will make it worth it for you? Repeat after me, please. You got to be hungry. Mr. Washington said, Mr. Brown, what do you want to do with your life? I said, sir, I want to become a disc jockey. Is that right? Yes, sir. Good. Mr. Brown, you got to be hungry. He said, I want you to listen to Paul Harvey. He's the world's greatest communicator. Always find a coach or mentor, someone that's doing what it is you want to do. Watch them. Listen to how he does the rest of the story. Listen to his voice. Mr. Brown, develop your mind and develop your communication skills, because once you open your mouth, young man, you tell the world who you are. And don't forget, Mr. Brown, you got to be hungry. Take the time to develop yourself. So I started training and working on myself. And then pretty soon I came to him. I said, sir, I've been working on myself. I've done the things that you told me to do. I listen to Earl Nightingale all the time and Zig, and I've been reading Dr. Norman Vincent Peale's book, and I'm ready. I practice every day 2 and 3 hours, sir. Is that right? Yes, sir. Very good, Mr. Brown. You got to be hungry. I said, why do you continue to say that? So people that are hungry are unstoppable, Mr. Brown. People that are hungry, no excuse is acceptable. Go out and face the music, young man. And don't forget, stay hungry and know your vitamin. I went to apply for a job on Miami Beach. Milton Butterball Smith was the program director. Hello, Mr. Butterball. How are you, sir? My name is Les Brown, sir. I like to be a disc jockey. He said, young man, you have any journalism in your background? No, sir, I don't. You have any experience in broadcasting? No, sir, I don't. He said, I'm sorry, we don't have any job for you. I went back and I told Mr. Washington. I was devastated. I said, Mr. Washington. They said, no, they wouldn't even allow me to audition for them, sir. Mr. Brown, don't take it personally. I told you, know your vitamin. Most people are so negative, they have to say no 7 times before they say yes. Be unstoppable, Mr. Brown. You got to be hungry. Go back again. Yes, sir. Hello, Mr. Butterball. How are you, sir? My name is Les Brown, sir. I like to be a disc jockey. Young man, weren't you here yesterday? Yes, sir, I was. Didn't I tell you no yesterday? Yes, sir, you did. Then why are you back today? Well, sir, I didn't know whether or not somebody was laid off or somebody was fired, sir. Nobody was laid off or fired. Now get on out of here. I came back the next day. Hello, Mr. Butterball. How are you, sir? My name is Les Brown, sir. I like to be a disc jockey. I know what your name is. Weren't you here the last 2 days? Yes, sir, I was. Didn't I tell you no the last 2 days? Yes, sir, you did. Then why are you back today? Well, sir, I didn't know whether or not someone got sick because someone died, sir. No one got sick or died. No one was laid off or fired. Now, don't you come back here again. I came back the next day talking loud, looking happy like I see you for the first time. Hello, Mr. Butterball. How are you? He looked at me with rage. He said, go get me some coffee. I said, yes, sir. So I became the errand boy for the disc jockeys. I'd go get their lunch and their dinner, and I'd stand in the control room, memorizing their hand movements on the control board and all the instruments, learning everything that I could because I expected to be behind that microphone. Then one day, it was a Saturday afternoon, and a disc jockey by the name of Rockin' Roger was drinking while he was on the air. Rockin' Roger got so drunk, he started slurring his words. He was about to fall off the chair. He obviously could not complete his program. And there I was, looking at him through the control room window. A Saturday afternoon, I was the only one there, young, ready, and hungry, walking back and forth saying, drink, rock, drink. Drink, rock. I'd have gone and get him some more if he'd asked me to. Then pretty soon the phone rang. It was the general manager, and I answered the phone. I said, hello? He said, young boy, this is Mr. Klein. I said, I know. He said, Rock can't finish his program. I said, I know. He said, would you call one of the other DJs in? I said, yes, sir. I hung the phone up. I said, you must think I'm crazy. I called my mom and my girlfriend, Cassandra, and said, y'all come out on the front porch and turn up the radio. I'm about to come on air. I waited for about 20 minutes, and I called him back. I said, Mr. Klein, I can't find nobody. He said, young boy, you know how to work the controls? I said, yes, sir. He said, go in there and segue the records, but don't say nothing here. I said, yes, sir. I couldn't wait to get old Rock out of the way. I put on a fast record. I said, look out, this is me, LB, Triple P, Les Brown, your platter playing papa. There were none before me, and there will be none after me. Therefore, that makes me the one and only. Young and single and love to mingle, certified, bona fide, doubly qualified to bring you satisfaction and a whole lot of action. Look out, baby, I'm your love man. I was hungry.
This is Les Brown. I want to talk to you about fighting for the life that you want. And that's something that we're looking at with admiration with the people in Ukraine. These people are fighting. And it's really like David and Goliath. He had 5 stones, but he only used 1. And I think that was the stone of determination, the stone of faith, the stone of perseverance. When you think about where things are there's several things that come up for me here. That we have a similar situation right here in the United States. You know, we're dealing with police departments who, for the most part, they are serving people. They serve and protect the dominant culture, but people of color, they terrorize and murder. It's a whole different thing. And there was something I remember by Claude McKay. Where is that paper? I saw something by Claude McKay, and it reminded me of these powerful words by Claude McKay. It was something that Claude McKay did. He was a poet from Jamaica, went to New York, and it was a piece that Claude McKay did called If We Must Die. I want to find that piece because it speaks to where if you want to have something in life, you got to be willing to go to the line for it. You got to be willing to fight for it. Frederick Douglass said something that I love very much. He said, power concedes nothing without a demand. People that dominate you and that control you, they're not just going to give that up and walk away. No, you got to fight, and you've got to be willing to fight to the death in order to get the things that you want. Give me the Claude McKay piece that we were talking about earlier. And so when you look at where you are, anything that has any value that you want to create in your life, it's something else. Frederick Douglass, he said, we might not get everything we fight for, but everything we get, there will be a fight. So when you think about your life in and out of the pandemic, and that there are forces, white supremacists, that infiltrate the majority of police stations and operations in the country, that we have to be willing to fight for what we want. And people trying to turn back the hands of time, trying to deny us the opportunity to vote, working relentlessly to deny marginalized people opportunities in an unequal environment. It's a continuous fight. And so I want to focus on something about this. This is symbolic. One, the recklessness of Putin, that there are people in life, short-term thinking, driven by ego, that think that they can just bully and pounce on people and think that everybody will stand by and watch. Something that one rabbi said that I love very much. He said, when something happens, three things are going on. One, there's the perpetrator, and they're the victims, and they're the witnesses. And the question is, who's the worst? And the answer is the witnesses. People who stand by and do nothing. People who stand by and say nothing. And one of the great things about what's going on now in this country and around the world, that people have awakened. I remember the demonstrations, and I found it hard-worthy when George Floyd was murdered by a cop and the cops that were with the murderer, they stood back and they watched. At any point in time, they could have intervened and said, come on, it's four of us and one of him. He's handcuffed, he's down, and we're on top of him. But they didn't do that because they don't recognize your humanity. When you're in a country that does not recognize your humanity, and that most certainly is in America, then it's a different kind of environment. When you come from home, you are terrorized. You face when you're driving, that you're in an environment where you're going to be terrorized or murdered by those who are sworn to protect and to serve. And so when you have goals and dreams that you want to achieve, there are systems that are put in place to deny you, to destroy your sense of self, and to demonize you. And the way that you overcome that, you got to fight. I'm encouraged, I'm inspired by what's taking place in the Ukraine. That those Ukrainians have said, no, this is not the life that we want. We want the life that we are now experiencing. We don't want someone to control our destiny. That's powerful. That's encouraging. God is in the midst of all this stuff as we watch, as we observe. And I'm saying to you, as you look at yourself, look at your goals, that everything you want to do, if it's changing your life, if it's having your own business, if it's bouncing back from a setback, and many people have experienced that. Many people have lost their businesses, have gone through foreclosure, gone through evictions. Many people, their businesses have gone under, but something that Willie Jolly said, that a setback, come on, Willie, a setback is a setup for a comeback. You got comeback power. And when you know that, I remember when I was on the ropes dealing with 4th-stage cancer, that those words stayed in my mind. I remember the words of Bob Proctor, who just passed a couple of weeks ago, that Bob talked about your mindset and your willingness to do what's required to move your life forward to achieve the things that you want to achieve. It's going to take everything in you. A.L. Williams said, all you can do is all you can do, and all you can do is enough. But make sure you do all you can do. And since Bob Proctor's transition, I've been reflecting on my own life, because we all have an expiration date. And I ask myself constantly, if you had your life to live over again, Les, could you have done more than what you have done thus far? And the truth is, yes. I'm ashamed. I could have done more. And I'm still here. I still got some time. I can still speak. I can still make a difference. Somebody said, why don't you do something other than just speak? To do something where you can have some fun. I said, are you kidding me? I have fun speaking. Are you kidding me? I have a ball changing lives. I want you to think about this. Live your life in the way that you want to live your life. When it's time for me to go, I will still be speaking. Come on, somebody. Well, oh, behave. Yes. And I have a lot of fun. We did some training in Orlando, and I was masked up. I got a plastic mask. I got all kind of masks up here. Let me tell you something. Nobody's hooked up more than me. And we had a ball. I got, I got masks. See here? Homie ain't playing. Where's my plastic mask? I got it. See, I got everything up in here. But I came in there. They said, what was that guy's name? I forgot. The Silence of the Lambs. I got everything up in here. Yeah, where's my plastic mask? Hey, Mamie. Oh, here it is. I got everything, honey. Look here, this is how I'm going to the airport today. I'm going back to Atlanta. So this is what I'm doing. I don't even fly anymore. But I had to come do my seminar. So this is what I got going, okay? All right, okay. Then, in addition to this, the Silence of the Lamb.
That's
Look here. If a dog sneezes around me, I'll get up and run. Well, let me tell you something. So I'm masked up. Do you hear me? Homie ain't playing. Listen to this. This is by Claude McKay. This is a bad boy. He's a bad brother. This is not the front of it. If we must die, where's that? No. Oh, this is the small print up to the top. All right. Listen to this. If we must die, let it not be like hogs, hunted and pinned in an inglorious spot, while around us bark the mad and hungry dogs, making their mock at our accused lot. Winston Churchill, he loved this. He said, if we must die, oh, let us nobly die, so that our precious blood may not be shed in vain. Then even the monsters we defy shall be constrained to honor us, though dead. O kinsmen, we must meet the common foe. Though far outnumbered, let us show us brave, and for their 1,000 blows deal one death blow. What though before us lies the open grave? Like men, we'll fight the murderous, cowardly pack, pressed to the wall, dying, but fighting back. Come on, somebody. Yeah, that's it. That's it. I mean, when you look at that, they got people, senior citizens like me, making Molotov cocktails. Am I right?
Yeah, they have a factory.
They have a factory doing it in their garages. Everybody. I mean, there are men who've taken their families, the women, across the border, and then they come back to fight for the life that they want. And there are people sitting around just watching. Let me share something with you. Life is a fight for territory. And once you stop fighting for what you don't want will automatically take over. Have they not been willing to fight? And trust me, the people who are watching, they admire them and say, wait a minute, these people are fighting. They're not just letting Putin with his crazy self just come in and take over the country because he wanted to. They're putting up a fight. The people are standing in front of tanks. Say, no, you're gonna run me over? Do what you need to do. But we're gonna fight you. And then those Russian troops, many of them don't even know why they're there. Some of them say they've been driving around to run out of gas because they don't want to fight these Ukrainians. They were lied to. And so when you think about this place, what we're watching at this time, as if the pandemic wasn't enough, now this madness. And you better believe, even though it's thousands of miles away, it's affecting our collective consciousness. What happens to any of us happens to all of us, even though it's thousands of miles away. Oh boy, no man is an island, no man stands alone. When you think about where we are in this point in time, I'm encouraging all of you for your prayers and support of the Ukrainian people, and for us to reflect on our own lives and our own battles that we have here. We have our own stuff here. But police departments are being run and controlled by white supremacists. We got our own stuff here. And I say to you that when they know that we mean business, that you're not going to just continue to terrorize us and murder us and get away with it like you've been doing for centuries, trust me on this. They're going to begin to respect us, saying, no, they're not being pushed around and looked past, and they are willing to stand up for each other. That's that, and they fear if the Ukraine joins NATO, and that's the message I want to talk to you about right now. They fear Russia don't want Ukrainians to join NATO. Why? Because if you attack any of us, you attack all of us. And there's a message in that this is the time that you want to develop a mindset of liberation, a mindset of determination, and you want to develop your skill set, learning all that you can. And because if you're not willing to learn, no one can help you. But if you're willing to learn, no one can stop you. But the other piece that's major is developing strategic relationship alliances. That's why I'm talking to you now. They don't want them to join NATO, because if you affect and impact or attack anybody in NATO, you got to fight all of them. And he doesn't want to see that happen. He doesn't want them to do that. And when we come together around our values, come together with a determination to stand up for a better future for our children, when we develop strategic alliances, communities of collaborative, achievement-driven, supportive relationships, there's some power in that. Because you can't make it by yourself in this thing called life. There'll always be some battles. There's some evil people in this world. And I don't have to tell you that, you know that. And you have to protect yourself from them. Yeah, I remember when I was working at WVKO radio station in Columbus, Ohio, and Eddie Saunders, who was the assistant program, no, he was the program director for a long time, and Eddie was the vice general of the radio station, and he used to box. And Eddie was in his 70s, and I was in my 20s, and I said, Eddie, I heard you used to box. He said, yes. I said, you know what? I think I just run over there and slap you side the head, see what you do. He said, come on. He said, you might run over here, but you will limp back. And Simon said, hey, Scurry, you run over here, you gonna limp back, young man. You know, young broom sweep clean, but old broom nowhere to go. So this is a historic time. I'm watching this. I'm pulling for the Ukrainians. And you know, the Orange Man and all his munions and these, you know, these spineless people today, they should write a book called Profiles in Cowardice. I remember a book was written called Profiles in Courage. But we're living in a time we got politicians talking out both sides of their neck because they're afraid of the Orange Man. And I've said to you, God has not given us a spirit of fear, but a spirit of power and of love and of sound mind. You have something special. You have greatness in you. Look around at the people in your life. Who is it that you need to build a deeper relationship with? And who is it that you need to walk away from those relationships? Why? Because they're not good for you. They bring no value in your life. I'm cleaning house. You hear me? I'm cleaning house because I found myself giving more in a relationship and they brought zero. There are people who are always there when they need you, but when you need them, you can't find them. And you have to ask yourself the question, in these places where we are right now, you got to ask the question, who should I count on? And who should I count out? Who should I count on and who should I count out? And as you look at yourself, look at your goals and look at your dreams, you want to watch people. Give them 90 days to prove who they are. Watch and observe them. Don't just take any and everybody in. Something Jim Rohn said. He said, you look at your life and he said, it's either a warning or an example. A warning of what not to do or an example of what to do. Even when this is over, Orange Man's boyfriend, Putin, he has now jacked himself up. He's in a corner right now. And he had short thinking and said, you know what? I had no idea what I was doing, what I did then. Now he's thinking about how can I save face? But see, there's some kind of damage that you can do that won't be forgotten. Even if they stop right now, people are not going to forget this. No, he's going to be paying for this until he takes his last breath, and the people who supported him in that. So it's very important. Do unto others as you will have others to do unto you. Go, Ukrainians! Go, go, go! That's what I'm talking about. You have something special. You have greatness in you. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Bye for now. They will snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. The world is standing with you.
Gotta find a way. And I start evaluating and looking and getting silent while everybody's watching the presidential debate last night. I was debating with myself. Am I making the right choices in my life? Am I doing the things I need to be doing at this point in my life? Am I on course to finishing strong? Am I doing what I need to do to build a legacy for my children and my children's children? Am I integrating time with my family and this expanded vision that I have of myself and the things that I feel that I can do. I was doing some evaluation. I know the debate was very important to a lot of folks. I've already voted for who I'm going to vote for, and hopefully you have voted. But I was taking time for me. And you know what I realized? I started looking at it, and I've been giving my power away. I got in the habit of doing that. And I decided to take my power back in different areas of my life. Remember when Paul said, the things I should do, I don't do. And the things I shouldn't do, I do. I sit and think and meditate and marinate myself in words of wisdom. And there are some things that I know I should do, like keeping a social distance from the refrigerator. I go to the refrigerator in the middle of the night and I can hear Tyrone said, "Did I just hear the refrigerator open, Mr. Brown?" Tyrone, you're supposed to be asleep. For those of you that don't know Tyrone, Tyrone is a squirrel. And we're bilingual. He understands me and I understand him. I'm just looking. I'm not doing anything serious. I might just drink a part of a smoothie that I fixed and had some left over. I'm not eating anything. Okay. That looks like a fat boy move to me. There you go. There you go. Come on, man. Anyhow, I started thinking, I've got in the habit of giving my power away to a lot of things. And when you give your power away to a lot of things, and power shows up in terms of energy, when you find yourself giving energy to other people's problems, and then when you need some, and you're going to need some, you feel so exhausted you don't have anything for yourself. I want you to like this page and share it. Like it and share it, because this is a download. And so I quoted Jan Levon San a lot. She said, give to yourself until your cup runneth over. And then give to others from the overflow. Give to yourself until your cup runneth over, and then give to others from your overflow. I want to talk to you about, and I want you to think about your goals and dreams and think about where your life might be. You might be facing foreclosure or eviction, or lost your job, or just indecisive about what life has done to you and what direction you want to take your life in, or the relationships that are just toxic. I was talking to a friend the other day, and she hadn't been long with this guy that she'd been with, and they got married, and I'm sure she saw some signs that this is not a good thing, and they had a dispute. And one of the things I said, don't marry anybody until you've had an ugly argument, so you can find out who they really are, because anybody can be a pretender. And he showed himself as my mama said, he showed his behind. And fortunately, he wanted to get violent. And thank God she's the kind of woman that say, hey, you ain't got to do this a second time. First time, shame on you. Second time, shame on me. Okay? Maya Angelou said, if it walk like a duck, look like a duck, and quack like a duck, it's a duck. She said, you know what? It's not going to work. You got to go, oh, baby, I'm so sorry. I just lost it. I understand. This is not going to work. Gotta go. There's things that we give our power to that can weaken us. If you have a goal, a dream, something you're working on, your business, your professional life, and stuff is going on in your personal life, it can be very distracting. People who have drama going on in their personal life, people who sit up and look at television and waiting for someone to snore, waiting for them to start snoring before they can go and ease in bed. You know too much about that. I want you to like this page and share it, okay? I want you to share. We'll keep it real, as the millennials say. I'm keeping it real. Can you feel it, brother? Up in here. There was a news conference. My mother, she was interviewed when I had my talk show years ago, and a reporter asked her, Mrs. Mamie Brown, how did you know you could raise 7 children by yourself? You never had any children. And she said, I just believed that the Lord would make a way somehow. I want to share with you today what I learned from my mother. I learned a lot of things from her. One of the things I learned from her, most of all, that's important in this thing called life. Because in this thing called life, you're either in a problem, or you just left one, or you're headed toward one. Have you noticed? Yes. And sometimes, I got up and I said, I'm just looking toward the end of the debate. I just saw a little tad bit of it, and I found it so exhausting. There's so much going on now. It's just tiring. You just want it to be over. And at the same time, we have to learn how we deal with it. I want you to think about your goals, about your dreams. I want you to hold a vision of the next greatest version of yourself. I want you to start seeing, if you've suffered a major setback, I want you to get excited. And I'm asking something that is going to take some effort on your part. I want you to feel. There's something about feeling. I want you to feel the victory before it occurs. Why? Everything happens twice. First in the mind and in the without. I want you to feel and see in your mind's eye. Go to your imagination. The imagination is a preview of what's to come. Walt Disney. Go to your mind and feel relief. Whew. I got through that. Thank you, Lord. I got through that. Claim it. See it. And then start working on it.
When I think about the 3 pillars of something that would be your anchor, a foundation to drive you into the future, to live a big dream, to live a big life,
mindset. What you think about, you bring about. You know, as a man thinketh, so is he. Dr. Carter G. Woodson said that if you can determine what a man shall think, you never have to concern yourself with what he will do. He said, if you can make a man feel inferior, you never have to compel him to seek an inferior status, for he will seek it himself. And if you can make a man feel justly an outcast, you never have to order him to go to the back door. He'll go without being told. If there's no door, his very nature will demand one. And I think that in many cases, governments and religious institutions have really unwittingly crushed the dreams and aspirations and the visions that people had of themselves. Not all, but a lot of them. And I think it's incumbent upon the individual to take responsibility, to develop yourself, to expand your mind and your vision, to seek out experiences. You know, Helen Keller said life should be a daring adventure, it's boring. And start to dream. What do you want? What do you really want for your life? I remember going to Auschwitz and walking down the halls in the Nazi German concentration camps and seeing the pictures of men and women who had dreams. These people were exterminated. One of the things that I heard in my mind when I reflected on a book written by Viktor Frankl, who was there, he said, if you know the why for living, you can endure almost any how. He talked about the people who were able to survive the inexpressible cruelties of Nazism, those who either believed in God or had someone that they loved that they were determined to see, or some cause bigger than themselves. And in my case, my goal was to buy my mother a home. That was my big dream. And that caused me to read things and to listen to things, to fuel my imagination. And then to develop my skills to becoming a voice of influence. The other thing that's important is creating a community of collaborative, achievement-driven, supportive relationships. And it started with a man, Mr. Washington, who said, a high school teacher, someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality. It could start with one person, and then it goes from there. I started associating with people who were doing what I wanted to do. I joined a multi-level marketing group called Best Line Products. When I heard the voice of a guy that when he spoke, it seemed like he was talking to me. I was in a hotel at a convention and Bill Bailey spoke and he was selling this dream. I didn't even know the products, but I wanted to be a part of it. And what I found, and one of the great things about multi-level marketing, is that it puts you in a community of other like-minded people. I think that's the value and the power of associations of different kinds. Associating with people who share your values, associating with people, like-minded people who have dreams, who have goals that they're working on, and being in that community. Studies indicate that one goose can fly 40% further in formation with other geese than can ever fly by itself. In fact, I'm thinking about a scientific study where they exposed some rats to electronic shock, and after they increased it, it killed them instantly. But then they put these rats in groupings with other sharks, with other rats, and then what happened was that they continued to increase the shocks of these rats, and they increased it over 10 times more, and it took far more to kill them than what it took with just one. And so there's something about being in a community of people who share your dream, who hold you accountable, who challenge you, who call you out, who can see what you can't see that you have within you, and inspire you to step up. Of Ebony magazine, the late John H. Johnson, who started that with a $500 loan from his mother. And he said something in his book called Making It Against All Odds. There's no defense against an excellence that meets a pressing public need. And I suggest to you, one, work on yourself. To me, I think there are 3 pillars of what's required in order to carve out your place in this global economy. There are many steps, but there are 3 that I think that's indispensable. One is working on your mind. Be ye not conformed to this world, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. The second is having a mindset and willing to discipline yourself, to make the sacrifice, to engage in ongoing self-study for growth and development, developing your communication skills. I can hear Mr. Washington now say, Mr. Brown, develop your communication skills, because once you open your mouth, you tell the world who you are. Nelson Mandela said, if you speak from your mind, you speak in a language that a man can understand. But when you speak from your heart, you speak in his language. And so my goal in teaching people how to create mass appeal, how to change lives, that you have to change yourself. It starts with you. And then you begin to see from your experience how you can begin to impact and influence others and be a voice of change. And that ability really will allow you to carve out a place for yourself in the marketplace. And the methods and the techniques, the simplicity of how you language what you say. Einstein said that genius is the capacity to take the complicated and make it simple. And so when you are creating change and mass appeal, keeping it simple, but being the message that you bring, and loving it, and standing in your power, and realize that you're here for a reason. I believe to make a difference. I believe to do a great work. I believe to live a life, as Jim Rohn said, when you live your life, he said, your life can be either an example or it's a warning of what not to do, or an example of what to do and what's possible. 85% of them reach their goals because of their attitude, 15% because of their aptitude. Now, to me, that was big, because I was in special education. I was labeled educable mentally retarded. So I said, whoa, that means I don't have to be the smartest guy in the room. That if I have a winner's attitude, that I've got a shot, that I could make it, that I don't have to live a life of being average. I wanted to live a life of meaning, of purpose. Being adopted, I wanted to do something for my mother. And so by listening to motivational messages and reading on a regular basis, it really taught me the value of using your time to work on yourself, to develop yourself, to really restructure your belief system for what was possible for you. It really expanded my vision of myself. And so to me, that's what it means about mass appeal, because I was working on myself. Then I started sharing it with others, and I noticed a difference in them. And I shared with them the things that I was doing because they saw the difference in me. And it's been said that a career is something you love so much you do it for nothing, but you do it so well that people will pay you to do it. So as I talked with and shared with my friends what I was doing and what was possible for them, I eventually evolved into this life of where I am. And as a result, I carved out a market for myself. And because this is my passion, this is what I've spent the majority of my life doing, I've developed a level of expertise, a level of strength and power and reputation in this area that created a demand for myself. To me, one of the most important things and the first step in changing lives is to have a program for yourself. When I started on this path, that was what my goal was to change me, given my circumstances. I think that, psychologists say that we create a mental blueprint between the ages of 1 and 5, that between that time, we determine what's available for us and what's not available for us. And so, given my circumstances, being born in an abandoned building on a floor in a poor section of Miami, Florida, I became interested in a path of developing myself. I remember shining the shoes of Mr. Sidursky, this man that my mother worked for, very wealthy on Miami Beach. She cleaned his home and she cooked for the family and kept the children. And he listened to motivational messages unbeknownst to me. That was programming my mind, and it created a thirst within me to get on this path. I remember listening to Earl Nightingale, who said, you don't get in life what you want, you get in life what you are. And so to me, reading became an out. It became a tool that I used to develop myself. And not just reading for enjoyment, but reading for personal growth, reading to look at those things that I read and to apply them in my lives. And I would read sometimes at night from 60 or 100 pages a night, sometimes a whole book. And then I would underline the book and I would think about them, I would memorize them, and then I would apply them. I would try them out. Because one of the things he said, they did a study of some top achievers and leaders around the world, over 3,000, to find out what was the common denominator among them that enabled them to reach their goals. I was in Poland earlier last year, and I had a chance to meet a young man who'd never seen me in person, but he heard my voice. He was going through some tough times. He'd lost his mother, and he decided to bring me to Poland. He heard my voice, and it changed his life at a time that he was struggling, dealing with the passing of his mother. And he just lost connection with himself. And I just thought about what an honor it was to be able to reach him. And one of the things as I reflect on my life, I believe that we're all here for a reason. And we're all here for a purpose. As a 17-year cancer conqueror, I know that I have been given grace so that I can do something amazing with my life. I want to thank you for your support, for your prayers. And you have a voice. You have a story. And I say that it's on you to do something with your voice. It's on you to take responsibility, to use your story, to change people's lives. And there are people around the world who are waiting to hear you. I'm reminded of something Dr. Howard Thurman, who was a mentor to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Albert Schweitzer and Mahatma Gandhi. He said, there's something in each and every one of you that waits and listens to the voice of the genuine in yourself. It will be perhaps the only guide and voice you will ever have. And if you cannot hear it, all of your life, your days will be spent on the ends of strings that somebody else pulls. And I say to you that the reason that you're listening to me right now is that you've decided that you have a voice, that you have a story. There's something that you want to do with your voice and your story and your life. You have a dream to pull your own strings, to control your own destiny. You know, Helen Keller said life is either a daring adventure or it's boring. And you've decided, I want to make my life a daring adventure. And I identify with you. And so this is my celebration of this year. You've gone through what I have gone through over the years. You're glad. A lot of people don't want to say how old they are. But let me tell you something. It's good to be 69. Let me tell you something. Every day above ground is a good day. Believe me. If you don't believe me, just try missing one. So I like to leave this with you. You have a voice and you have a story.
Let me ask you a question. Have you ever felt like no matter how hard you try, people still misunderstand you? You explain, you defend, you justify, and yet they still see you through their own broken lens. What if I told you that the key to your freedom, the key to your success, and the key to your next level isn't in them understanding you, but in you understanding who you really are? Because here's the truth. When you stop trying to fix people's perceptions and you start focusing all that energy back into your growth, something incredible happens. The right people start showing up. The right opportunities align. And suddenly, life shifts in your favor. Today, I'm going to share with you the 10 most powerful principles that will not only transform the way you see yourself, but transform the way you move through the world. And I promise you this, if you stay with me until the end, you'll never again waste your life trying to convince the wrong people. Instead, you'll be unstoppable in attracting the right ones. So let's dive in. Your peace is more valuable than their approval is not just a phrase, it's a way of life, a standard you must set if you're going to truly rise above the noise of the world. Think about it. How many times in your life have you traded your peace of mind just to win someone's approval? You bit your tongue, you betrayed your truth, you tolerated what you knew you should have walked away from because deep down you wanted to be liked, accepted, validated, and the cost of that, you lost yourself in the process. The truth is, approval is one of the most fragile currencies you can ever chase. People change their minds, their moods shift. One day they're clapping for you, the next day they're criticizing you. One moment they love you, the next they disappear. If your life is anchored on their approval, you will always be tossed around like a ship in a storm. But if you anchor your life on your peace, on your clarity, on your alignment, on your vision, nothing can shake you. Peace is the highest form of wealth. When you wake up in the morning and your heart is calm, your mind is clear, and your energy is intact, that's worth more than any compliment, any applause, any validation someone else could hand you. Approval feels good for a moment, but peace sustains you for a lifetime. And the dangerous part about living for approval is that it never ends. You get it once, you want it again. You get it from one person, you want it from another. It's like drinking salt water. It feels like it's quenching your thirst, but the more you drink, the more dehydrated you become. Approval addiction will drain you, while peace will fuel you. So you've got to decide, do you want to be liked or do you want to be free? Do you want to fit into everyone else's expectations, or do you want to step fully into who you were created to be? The people who change the world, the people who rise to greatness, the people who truly create lasting impact, they're not the ones who bent their lives to fit someone else's comfort. They're the ones who trained themselves to protect their peace above all else. They understood that the cost of peace is far less than the cost of chasing approval. Here's what happens when you prioritize peace. You stop over-explaining yourself. You stop overthinking. You stop begging people to see your worth. You start trusting yourself. You start valuing your time. You start choosing environments and relationships that match your vision. And most importantly, you begin to attract the right people. The ones who don't require you to shrink, to hide, or to compromise. Approval will come and go, but when you live in peace, you carry stability inside you. Nobody can take that away. Now let's shift. Unbothered doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop bleeding. So many people confuse being unbothered with being cold, detached, heartless. That's not it at all. Being unbothered doesn't mean you don't love. It doesn't mean you don't feel. It doesn't mean you stop being human. It means you stop bleeding out your energy into places that don't deserve it. It means you stop allowing other people's words, actions, and choices to cut you open and drain you of your strength. Think about how much energy you've lost in the past because you cared too much about things that didn't actually matter. Someone unfollowed you and you carried it like a wound. Someone gave you a sideways comment and you thought about it for days. Someone left your life and you replayed every memory until you felt empty. That's bleeding. That's you pouring out your power into situations that don't deserve another ounce of your attention. Being unbothered means you decide that your emotional blood, your life force, is too precious to be spilled over people who've already shown you where they stand. Here's the difference. Caring is strength. Bleeding is weakness. Caring says, I love, I give, I show up, but I don't lose myself in the process. Bleeding says, I'll keep pouring out until there's nothing left of me. And most people don't even realize they're bleeding until they're exhausted, bitter, resentful. They've given so much attention to people who never cared in the first place. That's why unbothered becomes a necessity. It's not about not caring, it's about caring wisely, selectively, intentionally. To be unbothered, you must train yourself to rise above triggers. Someone says something negative, fine, that's their energy, not yours. Someone tries to pull you into drama, you let them keep it, because drama is a tax you don't pay anymore. Someone leaves, you don't chase, because if they can walk away, they weren't built to stay. Being unbothered is emotional discipline. It's you saying, I will not allow the outside world to dictate my inner state. That's real power. Unbothered people are not numb, they're focused. They care deeply, but they care where it matters. They don't waste their energy bleeding for ghosts. They don't waste their nights replaying conversations. They don't waste their future obsessing over the past. They keep moving, they keep building, they keep choosing themselves. And because they protect their energy, they always have more to give to their vision, to their loved ones, to their purpose. You have to recognize that life will always present you with opportunities to bleed. Someone will betray you, someone will criticize you, someone will misunderstand you. but you get to choose whether those things cut you open or bounce off your armor. Being unbothered is about building that armor not by hardening your heart, but by strengthening your focus. When you know where you're going, when you know who you are, when you know what matters, you stop leaking energy on what doesn't. So the challenge is this: stop bleeding for what's beneath you. Stop bleeding for people who wouldn't bleed for you. Stop bleeding for situations that don't deserve another drop of your attention. Care where it matters, love fully where it's aligned. Show up wholeheartedly where it matches your vision. Everywhere else, stay unbothered. Some people are chapters, not the whole book, and that realization alone can set you free if you let it. The problem is, most of us don't. We expect every person we meet, every friend we grow close to, every relationship we invest in to last forever. We attach permanence to people who were only meant to play a temporary role in our lives. And when they leave, when the story shifts, when the chapter closes, we act like the book is over, but it isn't. The book is still being written. The story is still unfolding. And those people, as important as they seemed in the moment, were never the ending. They were simply a part of the process. Think about your favorite book, your favorite story. Every chapter has its own characters, its own scenes, its own conflicts. But you don't cling to one chapter forever. You move through it because you know there's more ahead. In life, some people show up to teach you something, to reveal something in you, to prepare you for something bigger. Their role is significant, but not permanent. They may bring love, they may bring pain, they may bring both, but they're there for a season. And once their role is fulfilled, the chapter closes. The tragedy is not that they left. The tragedy is when you refuse to turn the page. Every time you hold on to someone who was only meant to be a chapter, you trap yourself in a story that has already ended. You reread the same lines, relive the same moments, and wonder why your life feels stuck. It's because you're gripping the pages so tightly that you can't flip forward. In the future, the growth, the breakthroughs you've been asking for, they're waiting for you in the next chapter, not in the one you keep replaying. You must understand that letting go doesn't erase what was. That chapter is still part of your story and always will be. It shaped you, it taught you, it grew you, but it's not the whole book. Some of you are still defining your entire identity based on a relationship that ended years ago, a betrayal that happened a decade ago, a friendship that dissolved, a season that expired, and as long as you do that, you shrink your entire story to a single chapter. The people who truly live free, who keep growing, who keep expanding, are the ones who accept this truth. Not everyone is meant to stay for the whole ride. And that's not failure, that's life, that's the design. Think about it, teachers don't stay with you forever. They enter, they teach, they exit. The same is true of many relationships. They arrive, they play their role, and when the time is done, they exit. You don't curse the teacher for leaving the classroom once the lesson is over. You thank them and you move forward. You carry the lesson, not the loss. The moment you stop demanding permanence from temporary people, you free yourself. You stop feeling betrayed every time someone leaves. You stop feeling abandoned every time someone doesn't stay. You begin to see people as they are, not as you wish they would be. And that perspective is powerful because it keeps you from being bitter. You stop labeling people as villains simply because their role in your story came to an end. They weren't villains, they were chapters, and those chapters prepared you for the masterpiece you're still writing. Now understand this: carrying dead weight keeps you from your next level. Nothing will slow you down more than dragging what's no longer alive into your future. And yet that's exactly what most people do. They carry relationships that are long over. They carry resentment from old betrayals. They carry identities that no longer fit, and then they wonder why they feel so heavy, so drained, so unmotivated. It's because they're not walking into their future, they're dragging their past. Picture this: you're climbing a mountain, and on your back is a bag filled with rocks. Each rock represents someone you won't let go of, something you refuse to release, a story you refuse to move past. Every step you take is harder, not because the climb is impossible, but because you're carrying too much unnecessary weight. And here's the thing: the mountain doesn't care. The climb won't flatten itself just because you refuse to drop the bag. You either let go of the rocks or you exhaust yourself and give up before you reach the peak. That's what happens when you carry dead weight. You kill your own progress. Dead weight can be people who don't believe in you, who drain you, who criticize everything you do. Dead weight can be the old version of yourself that you keep trying to revive instead of stepping into who you're becoming. Dead weight can be the resentment you nurse, the bitterness you hold, the regrets you replay. Whatever it looks like, the result is the same. It slows you down. It keeps you stuck at the level you've already outgrown. You've got to ask yourself right now, what am I still carrying that has already expired? Who am I still dragging with me that doesn't belong in my future? What stories am I still telling myself that are no longer true? Because every step you take toward your future while clinging to dead weight is a contradiction. You can't build a new life while clinging to old baggage. You can't soar while clutching anchors. You can't rise while refusing to release. And here's the truth most people don't want to face. Sometimes you're not tired because your dream is too big. You're tired because your load is too heavy. You're not broken. You're just overloaded. You're not unworthy. You're just carrying people and pain that were never meant to go where you're headed. The heaviness isn't a sign that you can't. It's a sign that you must let go. When you release dead weight, everything changes. Suddenly, you move faster, lighter, freer. Your energy returns. Your clarity sharpens. Your motivation reignites. The path ahead doesn't feel impossible anymore. And the opportunities, the breakthroughs, the people aligned with your future, they start to appear not because they weren't there before, but because now you have the space to see them, the energy to pursue them, the strength to receive them. You've got to stop romanticizing what's already over. Stop glorifying people who've already left. Stop idolizing seasons that have already ended. Respect the chapter, learn the lesson, and then release it. Because until you do, you'll keep dragging dead weight, and dead weight always delays destiny. Focus on your potential, not their opinion. Because if you build your life on the shifting sand of what other people think, you will never know what you are truly capable of. Most people spend their lives managing impressions instead of mastering their potential. They shape their decisions around how it will look, what people will say, whether others will approve, and in doing so, they sabotage the very power that was placed inside of them. Your potential is limitless, but opinions are cheap, and the tragedy is that most people surrender their future to the noise of those opinions. Think about it. How many dreams have died? Not because they were impossible, but because someone's words killed them before they had a chance to breathe. How many ideas were abandoned? Not because they lacked merit, but because someone laughed, doubted, or criticized. If you let opinions control you, you'll always live smaller than you were meant to live. Potential is what you can do if you dare. It's the energy, the talent, the ability, the hunger that sits inside of you waiting to be unlocked. It is untapped capacity. It is future greatness. It is a fire waiting for fuel. But potential requires focus. If your focus is scattered on the endless stream of other people's judgments, you'll never cultivate what's inside you. Opinions are distraction. They shift constantly. They come from people who don't live your life, who don't walk your path, who don't pay your price, and yet you give them power over your choices. Why? Because deep down, approval feels safer than growth, but safety is a prison when it costs you your destiny. The people who rise are not the ones who silence the critics, but the ones who silence the critic inside themselves that keeps replaying the external noise. They redirect their attention back to their vision, their goal, their potential. They ask, not what will they think of me, but what am I capable of if I give my all? That shift changes everything. When you focus on potential, you move in alignment with possibility instead of fear. You measure yourself against who you could become, not against the expectations of people who may never understand you. You set goals that scare you, because you know that's where your growth is. You push through obstacles because you know your capacity is bigger than the resistance. Opinions may echo in the background, but they no longer dictate your choices. Here's the raw truth. Most people who offer opinions are not even living their own potential. They're not pushing their limits. They're not risking rejection, failing forward, or stretching beyond comfort. And yet, you let their voices hold you back? That's backwards. Never take criticism from someone who isn't building what you're building. Never downgrade your vision to match someone else's comfort zone. Your potential is sacred, and it requires you to protect it like a treasure. You've got to choose every single day to drown out the noise and ask yourself, am I moving closer to the person I'm capable of becoming? That's the only measure that matters. Now hear this. Release the need to be validated by others. Because as long as you crave validation, you will always be a prisoner. Validation feels good, but it's a drug. It hooks you, it conditions you, it makes you dependent on something outside yourself to feel worthy, and that dependence will destroy your freedom. Validation tells you, I matter because they said I matter. True power tells you, I matter because I am alive, because I have purpose, because I am here. When you build your identity on external validation, you are like a house built on sand. Every time the tide shifts, you collapse. One negative comment, one disapproving glance, one moment of being overlooked, and suddenly you feel small, invisible, unworthy. That is no way to live. Validation is a trap because it's never enough. You can get 1,000 likes, and the next day you crave more. You can be praised for one accomplishment, and suddenly you feel pressure to perform again, afraid that if you don't, you'll lose the applause. You are always chasing, always grasping, always seeking. But when you release that need, you reclaim your power. You no longer move to be seen, you move to be true. You no longer chase recognition, you chase alignment. You no longer shrink or stretch to fit someone else's box. You expand into your full self without apology. Releasing the need for validation doesn't mean you ignore feedback or reject love. It means you stop letting it define you. You stop needing it to prove your worth. You can receive it with gratitude, but you don't depend on it. You no longer crave it like oxygen because you've learned how to breathe on your own. This is freedom, living from the inside out, not the outside in. Living anchored in your vision, your values, your identity, not swayed by the highs and lows of public opinion. The irony is that once you stop needing validation, you often attract more respect because people can sense authenticity. They can feel when someone is grounded, unshaken, unbothered by whether they're approved or not. And that energy is magnetic. But the real gift isn't the respect, it's the peace. The peace of knowing that you no longer have to audition for acceptance, that you no longer have to perform for love, that you no longer have to be anyone but yourself. When you're free from validation, you can take risks without fear of looking foolish. You can create without fear of being judged. You can speak without fear of being silenced. You can walk away from people, places, and situations that don't serve you because you're no longer desperate to be chosen by them. You've already chosen yourself, and that decision, that inner validation, becomes the foundation of everything you build. Protect your energy like your life depends on it, because it does. Energy is the currency of your existence. Every action you take, every thought you dwell on, every person you allow into your space either deposits energy into you or withdraws it. And most people live as if their energy is limitless, as if they can give it away freely without cost, as if they can spend it on negativity, gossip, conflict, and chaos and still have enough left to pursue their dreams. But energy is finite. When it's drained, your body breaks down, your mind loses clarity, your spirit grows weak, and your vision becomes blurry. Protecting your energy isn't optional, it's survival. It's the foundation of building a powerful life. Think about how much of your life force has been stolen, not because of what you were doing, but because of who you allowed around you. There are people who leave you drained every time you talk to them. They complain, they criticize, they dump their problems without ever lifting themselves up, and you walk away feeling heavy. There are environments that suffocate you with stress and noise, places where your creativity, your joy, your peace cannot breathe. There are habits scrolling endlessly, engaging in pointless arguments, procrastinating that silently rob you of energy, and yet you allow it because you don't treat your energy like the treasure it is. You wouldn't let someone rob your bank account and smile while they do it, but every day you let people and habits rob your energy without resistance. Protecting your energy means boundaries. It means saying no without guilt. It means removing yourself from toxic environments, limiting exposure to people who drain you, and choosing to surround yourself with those who pour into you instead of pulling from you. It means creating rituals that recharge you, exercise, meditation, prayer, reflection, time in nature, time in silence. It means becoming ruthless about where your focus goes, because focus directs energy. Where attention goes, energy flows, and if your attention is on drama, distraction, or negativity, your energy will follow. The reason this matters so much is because energy is fuel for your potential. Without energy, you cannot sustain the grind, you cannot endure the setbacks, you cannot push through the resistance that comes with pursuing your highest self. You might have the vision, You might have the skill, but if you don't have the energy, you won't execute. And that's why protecting it is not just a suggestion, it's the very thing that keeps your dreams alive. Your energy determines how you show up, how you think, how you create, how you connect, how you lead. Protect it like your life depends on it, because your future absolutely does. Your destiny is greater than their rejection, and until you believe that, you will keep shrinking every time someone turns their back on you. Rejection is one of the most painful experiences for the human heart. It triggers the fear of being unwanted, unworthy, unseen. But rejection is not the end of your story. It is often the redirection to your destiny. The problem is that we take rejection personally. Someone says no, someone walks away, someone overlooks us, and we internalize it as proof that we are not enough. We wear it like a label: unwanted, unloved, undeserving. But what if rejection isn't proof of your lack, but proof of your path? What if rejection is not a wall, but a compass pointing you towards something greater? Every person who has accomplished something extraordinary has faced rejection. Great leaders were doubted. Great visionaries were ridiculed. Great creators were dismissed. If they had stopped at rejection, the world would never have known their names. The truth is, rejection is unavoidable if you're truly living boldly. If nobody is rejecting you, you're probably not aiming high enough. You're probably playing safe, staying small, hiding where it's comfortable. Destiny requires you to risk rejection, because destiny requires you to step into places where not everyone will see your value immediately. But here's the key: your destiny doesn't shrink because someone rejects you. Their no doesn't diminish your worth. Their departure doesn't cancel your future. Their inability to recognize your greatness doesn't erase it. You were created with a purpose that existed before anyone had an opinion of you, and that purpose will outlast every rejection. The pain of rejection is temporary, but the power of destiny is permanent. If you can hold on through the sting of rejection, if you can refuse to let it define you, if you can use it as fuel instead of a cage, you will realize that their rejection was a gift. Rejection teaches you resilience. It forces you to build strength, to clarify your vision, to sharpen your hunger. It exposes who is truly aligned with you and who is not. It removes what doesn't belong so that what does belong can enter. And often the places and people that reject you are not capable of containing your destiny anyway. Their rejection is proof that you were never meant to fit there in the first place. You were meant for something greater. And sometimes the only way to discover that is through the door that closed. You've got to stop begging for acceptance from places that have already said no. You've got to stop defining your worth based on who chooses you and who doesn't. You've got to start seeing rejection not as evidence that you're unworthy, but as evidence that you are being prepared for something higher. Your destiny is greater than their rejection, because destiny is written in a language beyond human approval. It is not contingent on who believes in you, it is contingent on what you choose to believe about yourself. The most powerful shift happens when you no longer see rejection as a wound, but as direction. Instead of asking, "Why didn't they want me?" you ask, "Where is this redirecting me?" Instead of collapsing under the pain, you rise with new clarity. You stop trying to prove yourself to people who can't see you, and you start pouring yourself into the future that's waiting. You stop grieving closed doors and start walking toward open ones. You stop begging for validation and start building your vision. Rejection loses its power when you realize your destiny was never in their hands to begin with. They can reject you, but they cannot rewrite what you were created to do. They can leave you, but they cannot stop what is coming for you. They can overlook you, but they cannot erase the light that burns inside you. Your destiny is greater than their rejection, and when you finally embody that truth, no rejection can break you. It can only build you. Stop explaining yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. Because the truth is, no matter how carefully you speak, no matter how many times you repeat yourself, no matter how pure your intentions are, there will always be people who twist your words, doubt your motives, and interpret your actions in the worst possible way. And here's what you must accept. Their misunderstanding is not a reflection of your clarity, it is a reflection of their lens. They see through the filter of their own insecurities, fears, and judgments. And no amount of explanation can shift a heart that is determined not to see you accurately. The danger is that many people waste years of their lives trying to convince those who are already committed to misjudging them. They argue, they justify, they explain, and at the end of it, they feel drained, misunderstood, and unseen. The cycle repeats, and instead of living their truth, they live in defense of it. When you constantly explain yourself, you give away your power. You hand over control of your identity to people who have already decided what story they want to tell about you. No explanation will change a mind that is committed to misunderstanding, because misunderstanding isn't about facts, it's about choice. Some people don't want clarity, they want conflict. They don't want truth, they want drama. They don't want to understand you, they want to reduce you, box you in, and strip you of your authenticity so they feel more comfortable. And if you keep engaging, if you keep explaining, you're playing their game instead of living your life. You must come to a place where your peace is more valuable than being understood. You must reach a point where you realize your mission cannot be delayed just so you can win the approval of people who will never clap for you anyway. Stop thinking you owe them explanations. You don't. You owe yourself authenticity. You owe your future focus. You owe your destiny commitment. Anyone who is truly meant to walk with you will see you without you having to beg them to. They will understand because their spirit aligns with yours. The rest will misunderstand, mislabel, misjudge, and you must let them. You cannot control their perspective, but you can control whether you waste your life trying to fix it. Walking in power means being misunderstood and moving anyway. It means being criticized and staying focused anyway. It means being smickers-freddented and still refusing to shrink. You don't win by convincing them, you win by continuing. You win by building, by rising, by succeeding so fully that no lie, no misjudgment, no misunderstanding can deny what you have become. And when you live this way, you free yourself from the endless cycle of trying to explain, and you reclaim your time, your energy, your voice for what truly matters. When you focus on you, the right people and opportunities will come because energy is magnetic. When you are constantly focused on others, chasing their approval, obsessing over their rejection, fighting their misunderstanding, you scatter your energy outward and weaken your attraction. But when you bring your focus back to yourself, when you pour into your growth, your healing, your goals, your discipline, you shift your frequency, you stop chasing and start attracting, you stop begging for doors to open and begin creating doors of your own. And in that process, the right opportunities and the right people begin to align with your journey. Most people think success comes from constantly reaching outward, networking endlessly, begging for chances, forcing relationships. But true alignment happens when you work inward first. The stronger you become, the clearer your vision, the more disciplined your habits, the more magnetic your presence. The right people don't show up because you beg them to. They show up because they recognize the energy you've cultivated. They feel the clarity, the strength, the authenticity, and they are drawn to it. The right opportunities don't come because you force them. They come because your preparation meets the moment. Focusing on yourself doesn't mean selfishness. It means alignment. It means refusing to abandon your goals to chase people. It means investing in your growth instead of spending all your energy trying to be accepted. It means using your mornings to strengthen your body, your mind, your spirit, instead of scrolling for validation. It means showing up every day in pursuit of your vision, regardless of who's watching, because your focus is not on performing for them, it's on becoming for you. When you focus on you, you become undeniable. The people who are truly meant to be in your life will see the light in you without you having to convince them. The opportunities that are truly aligned will fit into your journey without you having to beg. And the beauty of it is that the wrong people will fall away naturally because they cannot survive in the atmosphere of your growth. You don't even have to push them out. Your focus, your elevation, your transformation will make them irrelevant. But here's the challenge. Focusing on yourself requires discipline. It requires saying no to distractions, no to drama, no to people who pull you off course. It requires setting boundaries that may upset others, but protect your future. It requires waking up every day and asking, what can I do today that moves me closer to my highest self, instead of how can I make them like me? It's a shift in identity, a shift in priorities, a shift in how you show up for your own life. The truth is, most people don't focus on themselves because it's easier to be distracted by others. It's easier to gossip, to compare, to complain than it is to do the hard work of self-mastery. But the ones who rise, the ones who become magnetic, the ones who live fulfilled, they are the ones who make the decision to focus inward. And that decision creates a ripple effect. As you grow, you attract growth. As you discipline yourself, you attract disciplined opportunities. As you love yourself, you attract people who love you without conditions. So stop chasing, stop begging, stop over-explaining. Your future doesn't depend on their understanding, their validation, or their approval. Your future depends on your focus. Focus on you, build you, grow you, and everything aligned with your destiny will come. Not because you forced it, but because you became the person capable of receiving it. Think about what we just walked through together. We started with the realization that you don't need to explain yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. We moved into the truth that when you focus on yourself and your growth, your discipline, your vision, the right people and the right opportunities will come. We uncovered that your identity is shaped not by their opinion, but by your daily choices. We spoke about the power of discipline, of letting go of the past, of silencing the noise, and of embracing the discomfort that forges your strength. We went deeper into why you must stop playing small, stop chasing approval, and instead step boldly into your authentic power. Because at the end of the day, greatness isn't found in defending who you are, it's found in living who you are. Every one of these keynotes is a building block, and when you put them together, you create an unstoppable version of yourself. The version that doesn't beg to be understood, but demands to be respected by how you show up and how you live. This isn't just motivation, it's a roadmap, a call to action. A reminder that your life is too valuable, your mission too important, and your destiny too great to be wasted on explanations, excuses, or approvals. Now it's your turn. Take these principles and apply them today. Not tomorrow, not someday, but now. Because the longer you wait, the more you give away your power. This is Tony Robbins' track, and if this message spoke to you, hit that subscribe button right now and join a community of people who refuse to live small. Drop a comment below and tell me which keynote hit you the hardest today. I want to hear your breakthrough. Remember this, your future doesn't depend on them understanding you. It depends on you stepping into your power. Let's go create the life you were meant to live. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about a habit that's quietly sabotaging your potential. And most people don't even realize they're doing it. Emotional dumping. You know exactly what I'm talking about. That constant cycle of offloading your problems, venting your frustrations, sharing every single inconvenience in your life with anyone who will listen. It might feel like relief in the moment, but the truth, it's draining your power every time you do it. You're giving away control of your emotional state. You're feeding your own helplessness instead of reclaiming your strength. Here's the deal. Your brain is like a GPS. It listens to whatever you tell it the most. If you keep repeating your problems, how overwhelmed you are, how unfair life is, how stuck you feel, it doesn't just hear you, it believes you. And then it starts filtering your world through that lens. Your thoughts begin to loop, your emotions spiral, and before you know it, your identity becomes wrapped around your problem. Not your goals, not your potential, not your power, just your problems. Now, let's be clear. I'm not saying you should bottle things up and pretend everything's fine. That's not healthy either. I'm saying you need to be intentional. Are you talking about your problems to process and solve them, or are you just dumping them because it gives you a hit of sympathy? Because if it's the second one, it's time to get honest with yourself. That moment of validation might feel good for 5 minutes, but what happens after that? Nothing. You're still stuck. You've wasted energy. The truth about sharing problems, telling a story instead of rewriting it. Emotional dumping is like playing the same sad song on repeat and expecting your life to suddenly start dancing to a different beat. It doesn't work that way. You're not moving forward. You're rehearsing your pain. And the more you rehearse it, the better you get at staying exactly where you are. That's not what you want. That's not why you're here. You are not meant to live in a cycle of constant complaining and venting. You are meant to grow, to rise, to lead yourself out of whatever darkness you're in. You know what real strength looks like? It's not in how loudly you talk about your problems. It's in how quietly you get to work on them. You don't have to post about your struggle every day. You don't have to call 5 friends and relive the worst parts of your day over and over. What you have to do is ask yourself, what's the next small action I can take to shift this? Because that's what pulls you out of emotional chaos. Not more talking, not more venting, but action. Every time you emotionally dump, you're reinforcing the belief that you can't handle your life unless someone else saves you. And that is a lie. You don't need saving, you need strategy. You need movement. You need to remember that the most powerful person in your life isn't your friend, your therapist, your mom, it's you. So if you want to feel better, start by thinking better. Start rehashing every single problem and start building a new pattern. One that says, I acknowledge the problem and now I focus on the solution. That tiny shift in mindset will change your entire trajectory. Look, life is hard. We all have things we're dealing with, but the people who grow, the people who build lives they're proud of are the ones who stop handing out their problems like candy and start treating their time and energy like gold, because they know every time you talk about what's going wrong without working on what could go right, you're moving backwards. So here's your challenge. The next time you catch yourself spiraling into a rant or unloading your stress just to feel heard, pause, ask yourself, is this helping me move forward? If the answer is no, redirect. Even a tiny step forward is more powerful than 1,000 why validations addictive. Words about what's not working. Own your story. But more importantly, own how it ends. And that starts with you taking your power back from emotional dumping and putting it where it belongs in focused, courageous, solution-driven action. Most people walk around thinking their problems are unique, that the weight they're carrying is heavier than anyone else's. And while your pain is valid, while your stress is real, so is everyone else's. People have their own problems. That's the part no one likes to admit. You're out here expecting someone to really care, to really sit with your issues and feel what you're feeling, but they're too busy carrying their own baggage. That's not called it, just human nature. We live in a world where everyone is overwhelmed. Everyone has something on their plate. Pressure from work, bills piling up, a relationship hanging by a thread, kids, parents, deadlines, regrets. And yet we expect people to stop what they're doing, step out of their mess, and pour themselves into ours. When you start to understand this, you begin to realize why so many conversations feel shallow, why your rants often get short replies, or why people drift away when you consistently unload on them. It's not because they don't like you. It's because they're already trying to survive their own chaos. Here's what happens. The more you expect others to carry your emotional load, the more disappointed you feel when they don't. You feel ignored, misunderstood, even betrayed. But the problem isn't them, it's the expectation. When you walk into every connection with the unconscious hope that someone else will make your pain feel smaller, you're setting yourself up to feel abandoned. You're chasing comfort in the wrong place. Because let's face it, people can sympathize, but they can't fix it for you. They don't live in your mind. They don't feel what you feel. They're not going to drop everything just because your world is shaking. And even if someone does listen, even if they give you their time and attention, you have to understand this: nobody will ever care about your life as much as you do. They can support you, they can encourage you, but the responsibility to heal, to grow, to move, that's on you. It always has been. This realization isn't meant to isolate you, it's meant to wake you up. You need to stop putting your emotional well-being in other people's hands. You, the fix me trap, need to stop looking for someone to always understand, because they won't, and they don't have to. That's not their job. Your job is to understand yourself, to sit with your own pain, to process your own thoughts, to stand up even when it's hard and decide that no matter how messy things are, you're the one who has to clean it up. When you stop expecting others to solve your problems or hold space for every breakdown, you free them, but more importantly, you free yourself. You stop being dependent. You stop waiting. You stop handing over your peace to people who never asked to be responsible for it in the first place. Let's be real. People want results, not repetition. They want to see you rise, not relive your struggle. Every single week, if all you do is talk about what's wrong, you become emotionally exhausting to be around. Not because you're not lovable or worthy, but because you're stuck, and no one can push you out of stuckness but you. So the next time you feel like dumping your problems into someone else's lap, pause and ask yourself, what am I really hoping to get from this? The answer is attention, validation, or sympathy. It's time to shift. What you truly need isn't someone to feel sorry for you, it's someone to challenge you to step up. And often that person has to be you. There's nothing wrong with needing help, but don't confuse needing support with needing saving. There's a big difference. Help is a hand to guide you while you walk. Saving is expecting someone else to carry you. The truth is, nobody's coming to save you, and that's okay because you are more capable than you give yourself credit for once you understand that everyone's dealing with something and that no one is obligated to carry your load. You start to become emotionally self-sufficient. You learn how to sit with discomfort, you learn how to work through your own storms, and you stop resenting others for not being what you needed them to be. That's freedom, that's growth, that's power, and it's all waiting for you to stop expecting, start owning, and rise. There's a huge misconception that talking about your problems is the same as doing something about them. It's not. Venting and solving are two completely different things. And too many people get stuck in the habit of mistaking one for the other. You can talk about how overwhelmed you are. You can cry to your best friend, complain to your coworkers, or post a long rant on social media, but none of that is movement. None of it is progress. It feels good in the moment. Sure, you get that emotional release, that hit of validation, when someone agrees with you or says, yeah, that sucks. But when the conversation ends, what's different? Absolutely nothing. You're still in the same situation. You still haven't made a decision. You haven't taken a step forward. And worst of all, you've probably drained the energy you could have used to do something real. Venting is emotional fast food. It gives you a quick sense of satisfaction, but it doesn't actually nourish or empower you. And if you do it too often, it becomes a cycle that's harder or stronger than you think to break. You start going to people not to grow, but to release pressure. You end up managing stress instead of managing solutions. It's easy to fall into this trap because venting feels like doing something. You're engaging, you're expressing, you're connecting, but what you're not doing is fixing anything. You're not building resilience, you're not learning skills, and you're definitely not taking action. The harsh truth is, if you're not moving toward a solution, you're just repeating the problem over and over. And the more you repeat it, the more real it becomes in your mind, the bigger it feels, the harder it seems to overcome. When you train yourself to constantly verbalize your frustration without pairing it with action, you create a pattern in your brain that says talking is the goal. But it's not. The goal is change. The goal is progress. And that doesn't come from repeating what's wrong, it comes from asking, what now? That question is powerful. It shifts your mind from problem-centered to solution-focused. It stops the spiral and forces clarity. Now, does this mean you should never talk about what you're going through? Of course not. We all need space to process and feel, but there's a difference between processing and rehearsing. Processing is temporary. It's the act of getting clear on what's happening so you can figure out what to do next. Rehearsing, on the other hand, is when you go over the same problem again and again, hoping the story itself will bring relief. It won't. If you really want to change your life, you have to interrupt the pattern. You have to stop telling the same story and start creating a new one. That means being intentional about when you speak and why. Before you vent, pause. Ask yourself, am I saying this to move forward, or am I just trying to feel better temporarily? If it's the second one, take a breath and choose a better path. Write it down in a journal. Go for a walk. Sit with the discomfort, but don't keep pouring your energy into empty conversations that go nowhere. The truth is, You are capable of solving way more than you think, but you'll never access that power if you're always looking outward for relief. Real growth begins when you start turning inward and asking yourself hard questions. What can I control? What's one small thing I can do right now to make this better? Who can help me, not just listen, but help me build a plan? That's where your energy needs to go. Not into rants, not into venting loops, but into strategy and movement. And let's be honest, venting doesn't even make you feel that much better in the long run. It often leaves you feeling more tired, more stop waiting, start moving, frustrated, and more helpless. Why? Because you're reliving the problem without resolution. You're stirring up emotions without channeling them into anything productive. That's emotional burnout disguised as emotional expression. So the next time you feel like unloading, pause. Ask yourself if you want to feel better for 5 minutes or change your life for good. If the answer is real change, then stop talking and start doing. Solutions don't come from your mouth. They come from your mindset and the action you're brave enough to take every time you open your mouth to talk about how unfair life is or how hard things have been. You're doing more than just sharing your story. You're teaching people how to see you. You're teaching them how to treat you. Whether you realize it or not, the way you present yourself in conversations becomes the lens through which others view you. If all you ever talk about is how overwhelmed you are, how nothing ever works out for you, how people always disappoint you, guess what? People start to believe that version of you. Not because they want to judge you, but because you've trained them to. Words have power. Repetition creates identity. If you keep telling everyone that you're struggling, eventually even you forget that you're capable of thriving. You're building a brand around being the victim, the one who can't catch a break, the one who always has a problem. And that becomes dangerous because once you lock yourself into that identity, it's hard to break free, not just in other people's minds, but in your own. People respond to how you show up. If you consistently come across as someone who's lost, broken, or powerless, they will unconsciously treat you that way. They'll stop challenging you. They won't offer opportunities. They won't bring you solutions. They'll pity you, or worse, avoid you altogether, because nobody wants to be around someone who constantly drains the energy from the room, not because you're a bad person, but because emotional heaviness without action is exhausting. You become someone they have to manage instead of someone they admire. You have to ask yourself, what message am I sending with the way I speak about myself and my life? Are you reinforcing strength or helplessness? Are you showing people your power or constantly highlighting your pain? Now, pain is part of life. We all go through seasons that are difficult. But the key is how you communicate that pain. Are you speaking from a place of growth and responsibility, or are you stuck in the loop of blame and hopelessness? Because when you start to show up as someone who owns their story, someone who acknowledges the challenge but is focused on rising from it, everything changes. People listen differently. They respect you more. They start to see you as someone who is resilient, who is navigating the storm, not someone who's waiting to be rescued from it. That subtle shift in energy, it's everything. It changes how you feel about yourself and how the world interacts with you. You don't get respect by complaining. You get respect by rising. You get respect by showing that no matter how tough things get, you're the kind of person who keeps moving forward. And when you speak from that place, when your words reflect your strength, even in hard times, people respond to that. They start treating you like someone who is strong, someone who is capable, someone who is going somewhere. It's about taking control of your narrative. You can either let your circumstances define you, or you can define yourself in spite of them. That means being mindful of your language. It means choosing not to lead with weakness, but with growth. It means refusing to let your problems become your personality. Ask yourself, if someone met you for the becoming the hero of your story first time today and only had your words to go off of, what would they think about you? Would they see someone who's beaten down by life or someone who's building themselves back up? Would they see a victim of circumstances or a person of character and strength, because people can only reflect back what you give them. You want to be seen as powerful. Start talking like someone who's reclaiming their power. And this isn't about pretending everything is okay. It's not about being fake or hiding your struggle. It's about showing up in a way that honors your journey without getting stuck in it. It's about speaking with intention and purpose. When you do that, when you start to own your role as the author of your life, people will stop treating you like a side character and start treating you like the main character. The way you speak about yourself matters. So stop telling the story of your weakness and start living the story of your rise. There's something incredibly powerful about learning to sit with your pain without always needing to talk about it. It doesn't mean you're ignoring what you feel. It doesn't mean you're suppressing your emotions. It means you're giving yourself space to understand what's really going on without immediately reaching for someone else to carry it for you. That kind of self-awareness, that inner resilience is what separates the people who stay stuck from the ones who rise. We live in a world that encourages oversharing. Post your breakdown, share your struggles, tell everyone what you're going through. But what if you didn't? What if instead of running to vent every time something went wrong, you got quiet and started listening to yourself? Because here's the truth. Clarity comes from stillness, not noise. When you're constantly talking about what's wrong, you're in reaction mode. You're just offloading. But when you sit with it, when you really allow yourself to feel it without distraction, you start to uncover what it's trying to teach you. Pain is a messenger. It's not just there to torture you or weigh you down. It's trying to point to something that needs your attention. Maybe it's a boundary you've been ignoring. Maybe it's a change you've been avoiding. Maybe it's a truth you've been too scared to face. But you can't hear that message if you're constantly talking over it. The people who grow are the ones who learn how to sit in the discomfort and ask themselves, what is this trying to show me? But you don't need an audience for every emotion. Not everything needs to be processed out loud. Some of the most profound breakthroughs happen in silence. In those moments where you stop trying to explain your pain and start learning from it. Because the minute you shift from reaction to reflection, you move from powerless to powerful. You stop being the victim of your circumstances and start becoming the student of your experience now. Let's be clear. There's nothing wrong with talking. There's value in reaching out when you genuinely need support or perspective, but that's not the same as using conversation to avoid doing the real action over pity work. Emotional growth isn't loud. It doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like sitting on your bed, breathing through the urge to text someone about your frustration, and just letting the feeling rise and pass. That self-leadership, that's maturity. The reason sitting with your emotions feels so hard is because we're conditioned to escape discomfort. We reach for distraction, validation, attention. We want to feel better now. But real strength is built in the waiting, in the willingness to let it hurt, to not have the answers yet, and still hold space for yourself without trying to dump that burden onto someone else. That's when your mind gets stronger. That's when your emotional intelligence grows. You begin to realize that most of what you were rushing to talk about didn't need to be talked about at all. It just needed time, space, patience. You learn to distinguish between pain that needs expression and pain that just needs silence to heal. You become more selective with your words, more intentional with your energy. And that shift, it changes everything. Suddenly you're not that person who vents all the time. You're the person who thinks before they speak. The one who processes internally, who shows up to conversations with insight instead of chaos. People start to respect your presence more because you're not just reacting, you're grounded. You become someone others look to, not just someone they listen to out of obligation. And the best part, you stop feeling like a victim of your emotions. You start feeling like the one in charge. You still feel pain. Yes, you still have hard days, but you're not at the mercy of those emotions anymore. You've built an inner anchor, a foundation that isn't dependent on other people's reactions or support. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, instead of rushing to speak, try sitting with it. Breathe, listen. Ask yourself, what's this really about? And trust that you are strong enough to handle what comes up. You don't need to say it all. You just need to hear yourself. That's where the healing begins. That's where the transformation starts. And that's how you start leading yourself through anything life throws your way. People are naturally drawn to energy, not the loudest voice in the room, not the most dramatic story, but energy. That grounded, focused, forward-moving energy that signals someone is going somewhere. Think about the kind of person you're naturally attracted to. They're not constantly complaining. They're not telling the same sad story over and over. They're the ones who show up with a sense of direction, who are building something, who radiate purpose even if they're not there yet. And the secret is that kind of energy doesn't come from a perfect life. It comes from ownership. When you take ownership of your problems instead of broadcasting them, people start seeing you differently. You become magnetic. Not because everything is great, but because you're clearly in control of your mindset. You're not defined by what's happened to you. You're defined by what you're doing about it. And that is rare. That kind of personal responsibility is powerful. It sends a message without you even having to say a word. I've got this. And that's what people trust. That's what people respect. When you stop talking about your problems all the time, you conserve your energy. You keep your power close to you, and instead of wasting it trying to get people to understand or sympathize, you put that energy into taking action, into solving, into building, into healing. And that's when your presence starts to change. You walk into a room and people feel that strength. They don't know your whole story, and they don't need to, because the way you carry yourself says enough. You're not just surviving. You're doing something about it. Let's get something straight. Confidence isn't the power of personal responsibility about pretending everything's fine. It's about knowing that no matter what you're going through, you're capable of getting through it. And when that confidence shows up in your body language and your decisions and your silence even, it speaks volumes. It's not about being fake, it's about being intentional. You're not hiding your struggles. You're choosing to deal with them in a way that doesn't drain you or the people around you. This is where maturity comes in. Immature energy wants constant attention and validation. It needs everyone to know how hard life is so it can feel seen. But mature energy understands that not everyone needs access to your journey, that healing can happen privately, that some breakthroughs are more powerful when they're quiet. You don't need to explain every step, you just need to keep taking them. And people notice. Opportunities start to come your way, not because you begged for them, but because your energy says, I'm ready. Relationships become healthier because you're no longer showing up as someone who needs to be saved. You show up as a whole person capable of navigating your own path. That's attractive. That's empowering. There's also a shift in how you view yourself when you stop talking about your problems constantly. You stop identifying with them so deeply. You stop reinforcing the narrative that you're broken or stuck. Instead, you start reinforcing the narrative that you're learning, growing, and moving forward. And over time, that becomes your truth. You're no longer someone with a long list of struggles. You're someone with a track record of rising. Think about how much time you've spent explaining yourself, justifying your pain, trying to make people see what you're going through. What if you redirected that time into building something better for them? Yourself. What if you used it to create routines that support your healing, or to pursue goals that remind you of your strength? That energy shift changes your life. It takes you from passive to powerful. You don't need everyone to know your story. You need to live it in a way that speaks for itself. Let your growth do the talking. Let your actions make the statement. Let your vol results be the proof. That's how you build credibility. That's how you earn trust. That's how you create impact. Without saying a word, people can feel when you've done the work. They can feel when you're not looking for pity but standing in purpose. That's the kind of energy that moves the needle. That's the kind of energy that changes your life. So stop explaining, stop venting, stop trying to get people to care. Channel that energy inward. Build yourself, back yourself, and let your presence say everything that words never could. Most people don't want to admit this, but the more you keep talking about your problems, the more power you give them. It's not just about what you're saying out loud. It's about what your brain hears on repeat every time you tell that same story of how things didn't work out, how someone let you down, how life keeps kicking you when you're already down. Your mind registers it as a confirmation. This is who I am. This is my life. It isn't, you may think you're just venting, but your subconscious is listening. And over time, it starts to shape your beliefs. You go from having a problem to being the problem. That's how an experience turns into an identity. This is where people get stuck. Final wake-up call. They start to believe the narrative they've told themselves and others 100 times. That's when things get dangerous. Because now you're not just struggling with something, you're carrying it like it defines you. And the longer you live in that space, the harder it becomes to break free from it. The more you say, I can't, I'm always this way, people always do this to me, the more those words become rooted in who you are. You become attached to the version of yourself that's hurt, stuck, or powerless, even if you don't want to be. If you really want to reclaim your life, it starts with understanding this. Your problems are real, but they are not your identity. They are events, situations, temporary experiences. They are not who you are. But if you keep repeating them over and over, out loud and in your head, they harden into yourself and mute. That's why silence is sometimes more powerful than speaking, because when you stop repeating the same story, you give yourself space to create a new one. This doesn't mean ignoring your pain or pretending everything is fine. It means learning to separate the event from the identity. You can say, that happened to me, without saying that's who I am. You can feel disappointment without becoming a disappointed person. You can go through failure without becoming a failure. That distinction is everything. The real shift happens when you stop identifying with what's broken and start identifying with what's possible. That's where your energy needs to live, not in repeating the past, but in creating the future. The moment you shift your focus from what happened to what's next is the moment you start getting your power back. That's the point where growth begins. One of the biggest lies we tell ourselves is that talking about something makes us feel better. Sometimes, yes, expression is healthy. But too often we use repetition as a crutch. We keep telling the story because we think someone else's understanding will heal us. It won't. What heals you is the decision to move forward. What heals you is showing up for yourself differently. What heals you is breaking the habit of telling the same painful story like a script you've memorized. You have to understand your brain is always listening. It believes whatever you tell it. So if you want your life to change, you need to change the way you speak about your life. That includes the words you say to yourself when no one's listening, especially those you can't plant seeds of growth, and keep watering them with words of defeat. You can't want to rise while speaking from a place of staying down. Start telling yourself something different. Start saying, I'm figuring it out. Start saying, I'm healing. Start saying, I don't have all the answers, but I'm moving forward anyway. Those aren't just affirmations. They're directions for your life. They're shifts in identity. And when you start speaking from that place, even if it feels uncomfortable at first, your brain starts to follow your energy shifts, your decisions shift, your habits shift, and slowly but surely your life begins to reflect that new story. The most powerful story you'll ever tell is the one you tell yourself. So stop rehearsing the version that keeps you small. Stop identifying with your pain. Feel it, learn from it, but then let it go. Choose to create a new narrative, one where you're not the victim but the victor. One where your past isn't your prison but your platform. That's how you take your power back, not by telling the world what hurt you, but by showing the world what you've built from.